Hello and welcome to this presentation about the language programme Colourful Semantics. My name is Karen Griffin. I'm a speech and language therapist working in the Richmond Speech and Language Therapy team. You've been invited to watch this presentation because your child has a speech and language therapy target that includes the use of colourful semantics. I hope you find the presentation useful and thank you for watching. I'd like to start with the communication pyramid. Some of you may have seen this before. It's a model that we use to help parents and carers understand how speech and language develops in children. At the base of our pyramid, you'll see that we've got attention and listening. Attention and listening to an adult-led activity is key for helping children develop their language skills. If we look at the pyramid, you can see that understanding develops through play and turn-taking, and that includes understanding social communication. And what's really important about this model is that understanding develops ahead of talking. In other words, a child will understand more language than they're actually able to use. At the top of our pyramid is pronunciation, so how children pronounce words and whether or not we can understand them. That's not the focus of today's presentation. Let me give you a little bit of background about the Colourful Semantics language programme. It was developed by a speech and language therapist, Alison Bryan. It's good for children because children can attend more easily to information presented visually rather than auditorily. It's easier for them to attend to pictures and it's colourful. It breaks sentences into colour-coded themes, so it helps children to develop an understanding of how sentences are structured and the grammar rules they need to follow. And it also helps children, through visual means, learn how to extend their sentences. It teaches the meaning, or the semantics, of different parts of a sentence, and that's how the language programme got its name, Colourful Semantics. So why use Colourful Semantics? Colourful Semantics is a very versatile tool and can be used with different children for different purposes. It can help develop a range of skills. It can develop spoken language, so it can help children go from one-word utterances to two-word utterances. It can help children to understand and respond to questions beginning WH. It helps children develop their grammatical skills because they'll understand how to structure a sentence. And it can be used for developing written skills, as the framework could be a visual reminder to help children to remember when they're writing a sentence how to structure their sentence. And finally, it can help develop children's storytelling or narrative skills. So meaning is important. Let's have a look at a couple of sentences. I've used exactly the same words in both these sentences, but the meaning is different in each of them because the person performing the action has changed. So the who element, the subject of the sentence, is different. Have a think. What's the shortest sentence you can think of to describe this picture? The girl is reading. So using colourful semantics, we use the different colours to indicate the different parts of the sentence. So orange for who, or the subject of the sentence, yellow to indicate the verb, green to indicate the object of the sentence, and blue to indicate location or place. So an example of a subject, verb, object, place, or SVOP sentence is the girl, subject, is walking, verb, the dog, object, in the park, place. And you can see I've colour-coded the written elements of the sentence. But one of the major advantages of this language programme is that we don't have to have an understanding of written language. We don't need to be able to write to use it to say the words and use it verbally. The girl is walking the dog in the park, because it's visual as well as written. So this slide just shows you the different colourful elements of colourful semantics. As I've already said, we've got subject orange, verb yellow, object green, location blue. You can also add in describing words or adjectives using purple and time words using brown. When we're working with colourful semantics, we introduce one element at a time. So we would start with who, orange. So we would perhaps look at a book and say, oh, who's in the picture? I can see a girl. I can see a boy. So here are some ideas for activities for teaching who. You could play a guessing game, Who Am I?, where you describe the features of puppets, pictures, or objects in a bag, and the child has to guess who you're describing. You could use pictures of yourself and your family. You could link in to curriculum activities. For example, children will learn about the emergency services, people who help us. So, who helps us when we're ill? The doctor. Mini Beasts, also a curriculum topic, is helpful to teach children that the subject element of the sentence, the who, may not be a person, it could be an animal. Who builds a web? The spider. You could also look at farm animals or characters from your children's favourite books or TV programmes or films. So here we have an example of teaching who. If you have a look at the picture, you'll see I've got a frame with orange and yellow. Who, what doing? I'm just focusing on the who element at the moment. You'll see on the frame, the orange and yellow, I don't have the words who and what doing in the frames. You might have that in the frame that you have. It doesn't matter. The point of this programme is that it's visual and that the child understands to match an orange picture with the orange part of the frame, so they don't need to be able to read to access this programme. So you might be looking at a picture with your child and you'll be saying, oh, who's in the picture? Is it the girl or the boy? By offering this choice, I'm offering a forced choice, one or the other. Ideally, I want the child to pick up the picture, the girl, and place it on the frame. But the child might not do this initially, and so you will need to model it. So you would pick the picture up and go, oh, the girl, and put it on the who element. The idea is that the child would develop their skills so that they're not always offered a forced choice, but that they can select the who element from a range of pictures. But initially, you will only be offering one or two, dependent on the skill of the child. Once your child is able to answer who questions consistently, so that would be getting it right 9 out of 10 times, maybe on 3 separate occasions, from a choice of 3 pictures, then you could move on to verbs. So you're going to introduce the colour yellow, we're looking for yellow words, and what doing. Always remember when you're modelling the sentence to include the little word is, and make sure with the visuals that you're using that is written in front of the verb. Here's an example. So, what is the girl doing? Is she reading or is she painting? So you'd pick up the right one, for example, is painting, and put it onto the yellow frame so that we're creating a sentence that says, the girl is painting. Here are some ideas for teaching what doing. It's really important to be modelling verbs to your children, and you can do this throughout the day with everyday activities. You're eating your sandwich. You're drinking your juice. And at bath time, you can introduce verbs like washing, splashing, pouring, brushing. And miming games are great. You could get someone to act out an action and you can ask the child, what's he doing? He's running. Copying games, a little bit like Simon Says. Simon says, jump. Once your child is comfortable and confident using two-word phrases, who and what doing, orange and yellow, we would introduce a third element. At this point, we could choose to introduce adjectives, which is purple, so that the child could describe the person in the picture. But I'm going to describe adding the object part to the sentence so that we're developing subject, verb, object sentences. So the object of the sentence is always green and what. The way I might introduce this is by looking at pictures of people doing things. For example, I can see a girl. What is the girl doing? Riding. What is she riding? Her bike. So for example, the girl is reading. What is she reading? Is she reading a book or the paper? And you choose the book and put it onto the green part of the sentence frame. Here are some ideas for teaching what. What's your favourite food? What's your favourite game? You could sort items. What am I? By describing items. And some other good ideas. What do you need for washing up? Washing the car? What do you need for going to school? These are all going to help your children develop their understanding of what questions. Once a child is confident using a three-part sentence, subject, verb, object, we would introduce the concept of place or where. This is blue, and we use the sentence strip to extend the sentence. So we had the girl is reading a book. Where is she reading the book? Is she in the lounge or in the garden? And then the child would choose and put the correct piece or place onto the blue placeholder. Some ideas for teaching where. Where do you ride your bike? Where's the trampoline? Where do you eat breakfast? How to use colourful semantics at home. You can use it when you're looking at books together. You can use the sentence strip as an aid to build sentences, and there are different sentence frame lengths dependent on your child's skill. So you might have a frame length that was just who, you might have a frame length that was who and the verb, or you might have who, verb, object. You can also use colourful semantics to share weekend news. For example, so here's an example of a framework that we might use in school to support children to tell us what they've done at the weekend using colourful semantics. So we might start with, what did you do, in yellow, and then we might say, who with, and where did you go? And we've just colour-coded the different Makaton signs to give as much visual support as possible to help the child tell us what they did at the weekend. So what else? I mentioned earlier that you can use different colours, for example purple for adjectives or brown for time concepts, and you would introduce those in the same way that we've discussed introducing the who, the what doing and the what elements of the sentence. We'd need to be sure that a child has the vocabulary to describe objects or people, but we might start by building adjective subject sentences. For example, the little girl, the big wolf, the hairy monster. And with time concepts, we often use those in storytelling activities. So the classic once upon a time, so the time element would come at the beginning of the sentence, or you might even have one rainy day, one dark night. So there's lots of ways that you can introduce these concepts to help the children extend their sentences or their storytelling. So ultimately we're building more sophisticated sentences. For example, the man is eating a sandwich in the big kitchen. Here are some links for some useful resources. There are free downloadable resources here at this website. And then the LCLAN website has a Colourful Semantics resource which you have to buy. I hope you found this presentation useful. Thank you very much for your attention.